Hello and welcome to Hayes Garden World. Today we're going to be making a wreath from willow. So we have some flexible willow twigs here, but if you can find any other twig, if you can't find willow but you can find anything that's flexible to use, that will be the basis of our wreath. Over here we have some brown wired string, we have some brown raffia. Both of these can be used to fix the willow in place. In front we have some pine cones of different sizes that we've sprayed gold, and beside those, also foraged from the countryside, we have teasels which we've also sprayed, but you can leave them natural or spray them with a snowy spray if you wanted to. And we also have some ribbons, again, which you can use or leave behind. So now we begin to fashion our wreath. So we take our flexible willow and we just gently bend it. You may need to use more than one piece at a time, depending on how flexible you are. And you just begin to sort of pull them into a round shape. You're going to lose pieces, but don't let that worry you. And you just keep adding in, and as soon as you get 2 or 3 that you've nearly got a circle in, or if you're lucky enough to have one that just makes a complete circle, then you can begin to wire them together, which is what we'll do now. So this is the brown wired string that I showed you earlier. And we keep taking our pieces and twisting them through. Now this can take a while, so persevere, particularly if you feel like your twigs aren't as loose as they could be. You can help this process by actually soaking them in a bath or in a shower for a few minutes. So once you have a finished product, after about an hour, possibly less, this is what you should be looking at. So we have our finished or our made wreath, and now we're going to begin to decorate it. And today I'm using some long strands and some short strands of ivy in order to twist these into it. And you just keep working the strands around, and they should actually fix themselves, because you can layer over it and use the slight bits of willow that are sticking out in order to anchor the stems as you go along. So that's our first one. And I'm going to start in the same place because I want to create an asymmetric effect, because I want this tail to hang down, and I'm going to work shorter pieces in around this side so I get a bit of length as well as depth. There you go. And I'm just anchoring those stems behind sections of willow. Although I may at some point go back and just wire 1 or 2 of these stems to create the effect I'm looking for, which is really quite loose, so that a lot of it does hang as well as actually combine with the wreath. So now we've finished winding the ivy around the wreath, we're going to begin to add some teasels and some pine cones, and I'm going to put those on by wiring them in with the brown wire. So I'm wrapping the brown wire around the stem of the teasel, carefully, because these are really painful and quite sharp. In fact, you could use gloves if you wanted to. So it's just a case of simply winding it around, making it firm, and then deciding where you want to place it. I'm going for the head of the wreath. And then just wire that stem in and around a point on the wreath. So we've wired in 2, and we're going to wire a third in the same group, because 3s, 5s, 7s, odd numbers, because they're triangular and they create a nice shape, always work better than even numbers. So we're going to wire this one in just beside the other 2. And you notice I've left myself a long string with the wire, so it gives you a bit to play with and a little bit of freedom of choice about where it finally finishes. And it's always easier to make a longer string to move through and to cut it down than to make one that's too short when you have to start again, particularly when you're dealing with something as prickly as a teasel, which is really quite painful. And we just cut it off and fix it in its group. And I'm going to put a final teasel down next to where the long tail of ivy goes off, and I'll just fix that behind that piece of willow and use a little bit of the brown taped wire just to make sure it's solidly placed in. So now I'm going to add some pine cones into the wreath, and I'm just going to put 3 along this edge here because I want to leave this as green. So I'm going to take 3 of the larger ones and we're going to arrange those in that side. So using our brown tape again, just pass it around the base of the pine cone so it's nice and fixed. And then place that where you want it on the wreath, and I want that in that gap between the ivy and the other teasels. And then just secure the tape underneath and do the same thing with your other 2 pine cones. And then we have the pine cones fixed in 3 around the side. So this is a very natural looking and very natural looking wreath. But if you would prefer to add more colour to it, then we could have something like crab apples, for example, which are easily found at this time of year. And you could add something red in, or you could find some holly with berries attached, or anything really that you chose. It's entirely up to you and what you like. So what we're going to do is place these near the top in the bulky part, and that just adds a bit more layer of interest and a bit more colour. So I'm just going to pass these through into the main body of the wreath and place them, twist them in so you're happy with the placement, because you want to get the balance right and the colour in the right place. And then once you're happy with that, you can wire them in and make them solid using some more of the brown tape wire or whatever you've used. Okay, so we've woven in our crab apples and we've completed our really reasonably priced wreath. This is full of materials that are available in the countryside. You can go out on a walk on a Sunday afternoon with the children and collect lots of things, lots of twigs and pine cones and teasels and berries and holly, and make your own version. It can cost virtually nothing. The only thing you really need is some string and some binding wire in order to put it together. And there you have it, your done wreath.